Good evening, friends. Once again, we'll start with the reading for the week, which is week 31st from the book Rays of One Light. And the title this evening is How Democratic is the Truth? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. We live in an age when people assume that knowledge should be available equally to all. In matters susceptible of judgment by normal common sense, however, everyone knows that there are exceptions. Access to a control room for intercontinental missiles is limited by universal consent to a very few. Access to the controls of a passenger airline is limited to those with the necessary knowledge for operating them, and also to those with proper authorization. If people don't see the disadvantages of making more subtle knowledge universally available, it is only because they are ignorant of the risks involved. In the case of subtle knowledge, the main disadvantage in making it universally available is the harm it might do to one who is not ready for it and who might even mock it. True, by mocking truth, he might undermine the faith of a few truth seekers. But then such tests can also be beneficial as a means of strengthening faith. Again, true, the clever doubters' misrepresentation of those truths may dissuade a few seekers from following the spiritual path. But if a seeker really is sincere, he will recognize the truth eventually because it resonates with his own being. No, the greatest problem accrues to the shallow doubter himself. To give him an opportunity to affirm his ignorance might only estrange him even more from the truth, delaying the time when he will turn, as all people must eventually, to the light. Thus, the scriptures advise not secrecy, but discretion in the sharing of truth. Jesus Christ says in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 7, "Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you." And Shri Krishna says in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, "Never speak of these truths to one who is without self-control or devotion, who renders no service, or who does not care to hear, or who speaks ill of me." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om. So, friends, as the title is How Democratic is the Truth? So, I was thinking that if you see, in some kind of democratization has been the norm in the recent ages. You see people fighting for the freedom of expression and freedom of doing things their own way, even in our own homes. And those who are parents, they can actually testify to this fact that you have to give freedom to your children to a certain degree, because otherwise first of all, too many rules, as Yogananda said, can break the spirit. And at the same time, it is not healthy for their overall upbringing and evolution, because if you see, everybody has to learn from mistakes. So are our children, and yes, some necessary checks and balances have to be kept. And then when they do by their own way, they learn lessons which actually go deeper into them rather than being taught to them by authority. And same is actually happening if you see when we say divine mother or divine father. He is our universal father. He is our universal parent. He has created his creation. We are all his children. That is how we pray. So in a way, you may feel that democratization of truth is a necessity, just like for our children is a necessity for us also. And this is what has been happening, if you see, as we are ascending into the higher age, as we have already moved from Kali Yuga to Dwapara. There was a time when these teachings were only restricted to temples and priests and churches. So in Kali Yuga, we had to go to a priest to actually to listen to him and to see whether these teachings make any meaning. And if we are lucky, we could find a good priest. Otherwise, we are just left to his own understanding. And slowly, as the ages went on, as we came into a higher age, then the books became available, and we can go and have a access to book. Even if a priest is not available, you can still buy a book and read the teachings. But look at today's time. I mean, in today's time, the best of teachings of, I mean, any guru or any realized master in the recent times or in the past times is available just on the click of a button. It's available to the best of the library is available at the click of a button. So today's time, if you see to a large extent, already the teachings have you may say the truth has kind of got democratized. It is available to all. It is not restricted to very few. But still, if you see, not truth also has certain layers. Not everything is available to everybody. Just like in Autobiography of a Yogi, when Yogananda is describing about how these miracles happen and how he's describing about the resurrection of Swami Shri Yukteswar. And at many places he writes, that I am sharing all this because I have got inner sanction to say this. And God wants that, yes, these things and these teachings and these truths should become in the public domain. But also he says, okay, but there are certain things which he said, I have no inner sanction available, so I'm not revealing them. And so one may wonder, but why not to reveal them? Because as Swami is saying, because in a way, if we are not ready for those truths and they are revealed to us prematurely, then we may harm others because we may just mock at them, or because we have no understanding how they work. And above all, they may actually harm our own selves, because if we are ignorant and we just kind of understand them by our own ignorant understanding, then we will perpetuate our ignorance and we will delay our own evolution. That is what Swamiji is saying, that that is why it's not secrecy which these masters they want to keep, but rather it is a kind of discretion, that yes, at the right time things will definitely happen. They will happen naturally, and you don't have to even worry about it. But on the other hand, if you see what has happened, like if let us say the teachings are available to a large extent, if they are available, has it done any good? Has it is it helping people in the recent times? Of course it is helping, because people, if you see, I mean, a lot of seekers, I can see that people, those who have real thirst for knowledge, real thirst for truth, people today, it was never like it. There was a data available that in the last few years, almost the people or those who were curious or those who wanted to learn yoga in US has almost become 10 times in just recent times. If you see, because people have a desire, because things are available first of all, and at the same time when they are available, people want to learn also. But then just a few days back, one of my friend was asking me that it's all right that teachings are there. We come here, we sit in a satsang, things people we get to hear so many good things, so many good teachings from the masters. But what about people, those who are not interested in this? How can we convince them, or how can we reach out to them? Then first of all, if you see from that aspect, even Krishna is saying that only 1 in 1,000 come to me. So it would be good. And this is an equation he says of all times, whether we are in Kali Yuga or Dwapara or any age. But yes, as we go on in higher age, number of aspirants will be more. So first of all, we cannot do anything about those 999 if they are not interested, because it's like, you may be having a wonderful banquet or a food, but then if somebody doesn't have any hunger, what can you do about it? Because hunger or appetite is internal. You cannot do anything about it, even if you serve him the best of banquet available. So how can that thirst arise? If you see people, those who are sitting in this room, they already have this thirst. So how, if you just recall how this thirst came into you, or it could be one of the reasons. First of all, maybe many of us are mature souls, those who have learned their lessons in the past, and those who have, as Yogananda said, when you continue to see this life as a kind of repetitive experiences, that okay, I wake up every day and I go to office and I do everything to, just make my living, and I have to sustain my family. But day after day after day, if we are just doing that, it kind of becomes repetitive. And then Yogananda said it becomes kind of it has an anguishing monotony to it. And that anguishing monotony actually reminds us that maybe there is something more to life. What is it that I'm missing? Is this the only way to live in the life? Is this the only goal of life? So it could be that way also, that the thirst may arise. The other way in which thirst can arise is that, if you see somebody, somebody may say, as this my friend of this who was asking this question was saying, that people most of the time feel that, oh, everything is going good in my life, why should I bother about going to a temple, or for that matter reading the scriptures or coming to the teachings? But then just see, I mean, is there any guarantee that life will continue to go the way it is going now? This reminds me of a man who actually went to a marriage counselor, and this gentleman was actually worried about his son getting married, and so this man was actually a matchmaker. So he said, "Sir, I want to marry my son. So please suggest me a match for suitable match." And so he said, "Okay, let me just find it out." He just tells him that, "Okay, this girl would be better. So why don't we start pursuing this matter?" But then this man said, "Sir, but you have to give me guarantee. Today, these days, these girls can't do anything. I mean, it can be vice versa also." But he says, "No, no, please tell me that nothing bad will happen, and you give me guarantee." Now, this man was saying, that what kind of guarantee you want, my dear friend? Because what is the guarantee that your car will not break down at any point of time, even if you have taken a new car? What is the guarantee that you will not fall ill during your whole lifetime? What is the guarantee that a person may not lose his job during his lifetime? The only thing guaranteed in this life is taxes and death. Apart from that, there is no guarantee of anything. So this man was thinking that, okay, yes, that is true. Because if you see, if a person is, you may say, well set in life, he may say, okay, I don't have to bother about this. But then if we look closely, this life, somebody is going through that experience. People are losing their loved ones. People are losing their jobs, or people are losing their money. If it was their hard-earned, saved money, people are losing their health. So it is, who knows? I mean, what is in store for us and what can happen? There is the basic principle, the basic uncertainty of life itself is actually one of the main stimulus, you may say, which can whet our appetites for spirituality. That yes, I need to have some security. Where can I find security? And one time Yogananda said, when you move from Kali Yuga to Dwapara, in Dwapara, he said there is no security. Because if you see, we are in a higher age, and in the higher age, everything is energy, and energy is a more fluid reality as compared to the matter, which is a more hardened reality, you may say. So that is why when we keep on moving to higher ages, the outer security, you may say, will start going down. It is so we have to look for security somewhere else. So that is, you may say, some of these things, even when they are available, they cannot help us, or they can only help a person to the extent how we are utilizing the availability of the truth, how we can utilize it for our own gain. Because this freedom, if you see, is available to everybody, but at the same time, how do we exercise this God-given freedom? At one time, Yogananda said that if we suffer, it's because he said if we are behaving like an idiot, then he said we are bound to suffer. He said in a very harsh way this thing. But if you see, but then what is the option available? So let me quote here Yogananda, where he says, "It is because you have put your attention on the wrong things that you suffer. If you give your heart to man or things of this world, you will suffer. Your heart will be broken. The only way to escape this nightmare is by becoming more attached to God and less attached to the dream images of this world. You must place your heart with God. The more you seek peace in Him, the more that peace will devour your worries and sufferings. Now, this last line is very important. The more you seek peace in Him, the more that peace will devour your worries and sufferings, which is in a way to say that there is no escape from the sufferings. It has been programmed like that. The whole life is designed like that by God. At one time in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling Arjuna, who is the creator of the universe, get away, Arjuna, from my ocean of miseries and sufferings. I mean, at one time you may feel that on one side you have created this world and you yourself are, telling Arjuna that get away. Then why did you create it? So, and that is how, Yogananda used to sometimes have this kind of dialogue with God also. That what was the need? What was this thing? And if I just quote here the kind of dialogue which he often used to do with God, where Master himself is saying, it is indeed a funny world that the results of our wrong actions, but the results of our wrong actions don't seem very funny to us. That is why he says, I quarrel with God and scold him. Why have you created all of these terrible temptations that your children succumb to? Why have you made them so pleasurable? Well, that is a trick of God. If you're going to act like an idiot, he said, you deserve to suffer. The Lord says, I made you in my image and you ought to behave like me. I say, but Lord, they don't know they are made in your image. His response is, well, my saints are trying to tell them. I am not going to force them to be good. But why did you put us in this mess? You have never been in this quagmire of delusion. Why did you put us here? This is where the Lord smiles and answers, that is how it is, and that is the way it is to be. Now, on one side, it may look like a cruel joke on us, which God is playing, that, sometimes Swami Kriyananda used to say that this world is like a concentration camp. And I sometimes feel why, people are suffering and it is no less than a concentration camp. But if you see, it may look like a cruel joke, but at the same time, if you see the sufferings, as Yogananda at one time, God only tells Yogananda that pain is a prod to transcend suffering. Because in a way, if you see, if let us say life is going very smooth, probably it's all right and the time for learning lessons has not yet come. But if in our life things are going up and down and you are on a roller coaster ride, and it is like, you're getting beatings from the world, maybe you're getting sorrows, and maybe you are feeling dejected, maybe you are feeling very torn, and you are feeling insecure, then you're actually fortunate, because God is paying attention to you and to your life. He's actually sending you daily reminders, because without those reminders, think what is going to happen. Because anyway, this is a temporary place. Every day, or very few days or something. Today only I had a news of a very close relative who just passed away. 1 month ago, there was another man who was in our own family, not very old. He was actually very young. He had a heart attack. He passed away. This is actually a temporary world. And how are we going to remove the attachments from this world if such reminders will not come? So if you see, when we get these kind of experience that, okay, today I got a beating from the world, or today maybe I had a bad day, just thank God during that moment, that I'm so glad that you are reminding me of about the temporality of this world. This is not the permanent place. And always remind yourself that my joy is not out in the world, but as Swami used to say, that my joy is within. And that is what the Ananda symbol is all about. Joy is within yourself. And because we are seeking joy from the outside, and that is why when an obstacle comes, you're not able to take the joy from the outside world, and immediately we get into sorrow, or we get into anger, or we get into any kind of emotion, because I was thinking that, okay, my joy is out there, and suddenly I saw an obstacle, and now it is not no longer going to come to me from there, and that is why I feel sorrow, and that is why I suffer. Today only, when I reached home from the clinic, I was thinking about these this topic, and how to present it in a way so that it becomes useful to practice in daily life. I came from the clinic, and the good news was waiting for me. My daughter came to me, Papa, the Mac is not working. I said, oh, but it was working till yesterday. And it was, so you did you let it fall, or whatever, what was happening? But no, there was no answer. But she said, no, it is not working. So for a moment, I felt, oh, this may not be an easy thing to get it repaired. First of all, I will have to find what is the place where I have to go, and then I have to prepare for a satsang also. So all those things, were going on in my mind. But then I felt, this is exactly what I have to practice. My joy is not out there. My joy is within me. And if it is a reminder from God that today it is a possession, tomorrow it can be anything. Maybe tomorrow somebody tells you that you have lost some near and dear one. Or maybe tomorrow it can be that you have lost your body. Then how am I going to react? Will it be a setback to me? Or is it going to be a reminder that, okay, my body was anyways outside me. It was never a source of joy for me. My source is in God. And it is high time that I start preparing myself, that my joy comes from God. My joy comes from you, my dear friend. And that is how today we are going to practice an affirmation. Yogananda actually gave a very beautiful affirmation. He said, unless we cling to God all the time, we will not be able to transcend the sufferings, transcend the sorrows, because sorrows in one form or the other are going to come. They have been placed purposefully and very, creatively and with masterfully by the creator of the universe himself. So when they come, please stay very assured in your life that God is paying keen attention to your life. And it reminds me of Kunti also, when your Krishna asked Kunti, what do you want? You have gone through so much struggles and sufferings in your life. At one point, Krishna wanted to give her a boon. And so Krishna asked Kunti, what is it that you want? And Kunti very interestingly said, Krishna, I have seen in my life that whenever I was going through a period of suffering, I was remembering you the most. So if you have to give me something, please give me sufferings, because that way I can keep you always close to my heart. Now that statement, when I was reading for the first time Mahabharata, I think probably it was in 7th standard, I was astonished. I mean, who on earth will ask for sufferings from God himself? But you see, Krishna smiled, because Krishna knew that Kunti was very wise. Kunti, if you see, is one character in Mahabharata who personifies non-attachment. And that kind of non-attachment is actually needed, is essential for a yogi or for any person who really wants to be with God all the time. On the other side, if you see, now we come to this, let us say we started this thing with the person who wants to begin his journey, and who wants to begin his journey on the path. Now take another side of it. Let us say people are those who are there on the path, and they sometimes feel, oh, whether I'm really progressing or not, am I really making any progress on the path? Or, but I have, so it's a kind of confusion in their mind. And is there any progress coming? So if you see, most of the times this question may come in people's mind because they want to see some outer power getting through them, or some kind of, as Babaji was materializing a palace. in the autobiography of a yogi, and somebody might think, oh, I don't have a power to materialize even a potato, or what to talk of a palace. Or even Giribala was actually living without food for so many years, but I don't have any such power to to so am I really progressing? Even for that matter, Yukteswarji was healing the sick, Ladi Mahasaya was doing something. So if you see, this sort of questioning can sometimes come. Is But then if you see, the question of having powers or having any particular control over the universe is actually all about the ego. If you see, you may feel, oh, what can I become? What can I become actually is not important. If you see, what is the path of enlightenment, of freedom all about? The freedom from individuality. So if you see, it is only individual who likes to become something, whereas in the real sense, the freedom or moksha is all about freedom from individuality. It is all about oneness. The moment you feel oneness with God, there is nothing away from you, or there is nothing other than you. It is all one. So what can we become? Rather, we are already that. And in that oneness, you can actually enjoy that state of being. And there is nothing more to it. So in that oneness, there is no question of becoming anything or having anything. Maybe if there is a healing which has to happen, it will happen because you are already one with the Lord. So that means one with the Lord means that your will is His will and His will is yours. So in a way, these things, if they have to happen, they will naturally start happening within you, around you. For that matter, you don't have to bother about it, but how will they happen? If there is anything which we can do to make progress and to see that, okay, whether whether this maturity or whether this spiritual growth is happening or not, is actually the purity of heart. Because as Swamiji is also saying, that not every aspect of truth will be revealed to us prematurely. Because yes, truth is getting democratized, but at the same time, not everything will be revealed to us prematurely because we are not ready. And at the same time, our hearts are not pure enough, because purity and power, they go together. And power is one aspect of God. Whether that power is used to heal others, whether that power is used in one form or the other, but it will naturally flow through us to the degree our hearts are pure. And at one place, Yogananda is saying, that is just reminding us that why these higher layers of truth are not revealed to everybody. He says, if the ordinary man is slapped, the great desire is to slap back. Therefore, God does not give His divine power to those who are spiritually weak, because they would misuse it. The desire and the strength to forgive comes from attunement with God. And this is very important, because if you see, sometimes I wonder, when most of the time, if I get disturbed by behavior of some person or some of my colleagues at my workplace, or somebody who is my junior and I have to work through them as a team, and they are not, despite reminders, they are not, improving, or they are. So sometimes it can be very disturbing and frustrating, because as a team leader, you have to work through the same team. What can you do? So, and then it is sometimes difficult to forgive also, because I was wondering, I'm not able to forgive others because something within me is there, which says that guy can do more, but he's not doing it. But then I thought that, God, you forgive everybody. You are accepting everybody. You accept, the best of the people and the worst of the people. You stay undisturbed. I want to learn this from you. How can you help me? I am not that forgiving. And that is why Yogananda is saying here that, the power to forgive also comes from attunement with God. And that is why any tendency, for that matter, we all have some bundles of tendencies which we are carrying from our previous lives. And in the last satsang, if you see, we practiced this, and we wanted to see what is that tendency which is, despite knowing that I don't want to do that, but still it is happening. How can I change it? And the answer was that, how can we can actually command the power of God. When we feel the oneness, we can command the power of God to cauterize those tendencies which are making a puppet out of ourselves. And as those seed tendencies are burned down, slowly and slowly that purification will happen, will keep on happening. And one day, this purification, when our hearts are completely pure and they gain that absolute purity, we will see that there will be no obstacle to the light which was already there fundamentally as the source. And because the light was already there, it will start shining naturally, unobstructed. And you will see that in that state, you don't see any evil around you, even if the evil, or even if some things which are not up to the mark are happening, they don't have any hold on you. Because once you are in the light, you are just like when God is saying to Yogananda, I have made you in my image and you ought to behave like me. And we cannot behave like him unless we are in tune with him. So more and more we have to practice for this attunement and for this oneness. And in that oneness, as we were singing the first chant, Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Remind yourself, who is our source? From where have I come? How is this existing? It has come from a source, and so am I. And my source is the same as your source. And when we continue to go deeper into that source, you will see that slowly and slowly, all those impurities and dross will be burned down, and light will purify us. And then no impurity or no evil will have any hold on us. So we'll now just practice a short meditation and this affirmation, which I want to do with you, which is regarding how to transcend the suffering. And that suffering we can only transcend when we cling to Him. So just I want to read first and then we will go deeper. We will not practice it loudly. The affirmation is that, my Lord, you come first. You are my everything. You are my life. You are my death if necessary. I want you alone. You are sufficient. I offer all my power, all my inner thought, all my love to feel you, to be with you, and to love you. So let us take a moment. Let us focus at the point between the eyebrows. Calm ourselves by practicing, watching the breath technique for just a couple of breaths. And as we go into the silence, just like we practiced last time, enjoy this formless state of yours. Remind yourself that I am not seeing my body. I am not the body because I was not feeling my body in my deep sleep, but I was still existing. So whether I have a body or I don't have a body, my existence has nothing to do with it. And same is true for my thoughts. In deep sleep, there was no thought which was disturbing me. So as I am going into deep meditation, this silence, these thoughts don't belong to me. They do not define me in any way. And this feeling of I-ness, which is my direct experience, is coming because of awareness. Because this awareness is the fundamental reality, which this I is not creating. Rather, I is a bubble on the ocean of awareness. And if I continue to cling to the source of my being, then no suffering can touch me. That is the way God wants me to live, because He has created me in His own image. And that is what He wants me to learn. So I'm going to repeat these words which Yogananda said. Just listen to them and let it be your heart's yearning that if I do not forget thee, if I do not forsake thee, I can always remain in tune with Him. We can practice these words in your own language, whether in Hindi or Marathi, because then you will feel more oneness with that reality. My Lord, you come first. You are my everything. You are my life. You are my death if necessary. I want you alone. You are sufficient. I offer all my power, all my inner thought, all my love to feel you, to be with you, and to love you. Continue to offer your heart's love, your power, your energy. And you can repeat the words in your own language that, Lord, you are my everything. You are my life. I want you alone. I offer all my power, all my inner thought to feel you, to be with you. Let's take one more minute. Let it be that inner communion. Let it be that inner prayer. And continue to cling to God and let it be a everyday practice. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.